You know, I bet there were times when you didn't think that this was going to be much of a highlight tape, not after the Capitals went up 3-1, not after Mario Lemieux broke his hand and the Rangers went up 2-1. But here we are ready to look at another run for the Cup. Now, last year's tape might have been a collector's item. I guess that would make this tape the start of a collection. And as usual, thanks to KDKA, you have the best seat in the house.
In a season of tragedy and triumph, the 91-92 Pittsburgh Penguins soared above and beyond all expectations. They faced extreme adversity as a team, and leaning upon each other, rose to claim hockey's holiest prize. It was truly a storybook season against the odds. When the Penguins hoisted their championship banners in late October, you could feel the Civic Arena crowd swell with pride. 1991-92 marked the start of the club's silver season, their 25th year in the NHL. And while the Pens were now the defending Stanley Cup champions, their journey to the top was anything but sweet.
I'm Ed Conway, broadcaster for the Pittsburgh Penguins, one of the new teams in the National Hockey League this year. In back of me, you look at the Civic Arena, where we'll play our 37 home games.
The Penguins broke into the NHL in 1967 with the oldest expansion team in the league. In their first year, they finished just 6 points out of first place in their division, but that difference was enough to drop them to 5th place and out of the playoffs. The club's first general manager, Jack Riley, recalls the early years.
It started off slowly, and by the time we went through a change of 3 or 4 ownerships here, and by the time 72 was here, that was when the Tad Potter group from Pittsburgh bought it, we were drawing very well. They didn't have the seating capacity in those days. They didn't have the balconies at the end of the building. Our capacity was 12-something, and on Saturday nights we were selling out pretty good.
The early Pens were dealt a major blow when promising young scoring sensation Michel Briere was killed in an auto accident. In 1975, the Pens were back in the playoffs, but they let a 3-0 series lead slip away, losing to the New York Islanders in 7 games. That summer, the team's owners were forced to declare bankruptcy. In 1978, the franchise was rescued when Edward DiBartolo purchased the team. While much healthier on paper, the team continued to struggle on the ice. Penguin fans still recall the heartbreak of a 4-3 double overtime loss to St. Louis in the deciding game of the 1981 playoffs. However, Penguin history is also filled with great moments and all-star players. Men like Les Binkley and Andy Bathgate, who were among the team's early leaders. The smooth skating of the century line, Jean Pronovost, Silaps, and Lowell McDonald combined to score over 100 goals for the 1973-74 club. In 75, lucky Pierre LaRouche became the first Penguin to score 100 points in a season. Right-winger Rick Kehoe pumped in 55 goals in the 80-81 campaign and still ranks as the Penguins' second all-time leading scorer.
I was pretty consistent around the 30-goal mark at that time until 80-81, where I was fortunate to have a big year. It just seems that some years the pucks go in a little more than they do in other years.
Then, with the first pick in the 1984 draft, the Penguins chose a young French-Canadian who would raise a franchise to glory. Mario Lemieux. Only 19 years old, Mario was named the NHL Rookie of the Year. At 20, they were comparing him to the Great One. And at age 22, he was crowned the league's most valuable player. The club began to build a supporting cast for the brilliant Lemieux. All-star defenseman Paul Coffey arrived in '87. From the draft came forward Mark Recchi, and a trade brought Kevin Stevens. Goaltender Tom Barrasso entered the picture in '89. And finally, the man who would put it all together, General Manager Craig Patrick. In 1990, Patrick hired the experienced Bob Johnson to mold this group of talented players into a team. The result was an historic ride to the club's first Stanley Cup championship. The 1991 Pittsburgh Penguins defeated the Devils, Capitals, Bruins, and North Stars en route to hockey's Holy Grail.
Time runs out. The Stanley Cup has come to the city of Pittsburgh. The 1991 Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Still, the word fluke accompanied the Pens wherever they traveled. In order to be truly considered champions, they would have to do it again.
Right winger number 68, Jaromir Jagr.
The 1991-92 season opened with a celebration of the Penguins' first Stanley Cup. It was to be another fairy tale ride to Lord Stanley's castle. But missing for this joyous journey was their beloved coach, Bob Johnson. Stricken with cancer, Badger Bob was not behind the bench when the season began. Scotty Bowman, the Penguins' director of player personnel, became the interim head coach. The team tried to focus on the games, but as Bob Johnson's life slipped away, the Pens could not ignore their friend's desperate fight. Bob Johnson died November 26th. The hockey world lost one of its finest coaches and ambassadors. His memory will live forever in the hearts of his players.
Bob was a very unique person. I think he's the type of person that we're lucky if we meet one of in our lifetime. He approached every day of his life with an enthusiasm that I've never seen generated by anyone, except for maybe small children. And he was able to translate his enthusiasm for life and for hockey to the people around him.
He made an atmosphere around here where you wanted to play for him and you wanted to win for him. And that's pretty rare.
In late November, the Penguins said goodbye to their coach and friend, Bob Johnson.
Oh, we never know where life will take us. I know it's just a ride on the wheel.
It's a shock when we're all sitting out there and they're playing those songs and the fans are all standing there and everybody's thinking about Bob and what he did for us. And it was an amazing situation because everybody's sitting there with tears in their eyes or whatever, and all of a sudden the lights come on and we get to drop the puck and play hockey, and it just didn't feel right to go out there and try to play a hockey game after that.
Stanley Cup banners hung as a proud symbol of this team's climb to the top of the NHL last year. But it would be extremely difficult in this emotional time to dig in and begin the new battle. The team struggled to find its purpose. By mid-December, the club was trying to keep pace with a rejuvenated Patrick division. Troy Loney, Bob Airy, and Phil Bourque showed up every night.
Back, an 18-game lead pass to Bourque in on goal. Bourque makes a move. He shoots and scores. Phil Bourque gives the Penguins a 2-0 lead.
Jimmy Pack, Grant Jennings, Gord Roberts, Paul Stanton, and Ulf Samuelsson played big-time yet no-name defense. January and February saw more adversity. Mario was out with an injury, and Jaromir Jagr was gone for 10 games. Three-time All-Star Ron Francis stepped up to help in his first full season as a Penguin. Joey Mullen chipped in, scoring 42 goals and becoming the first American-born player to score 400 goals in the NHL. Bryan Trottier provided the character and outstanding two-way hockey while wearing the C many times in Mario's absence.
Hello. How are you doing? What's your name?
But the man who shined brightest through the dog days of winter was Kevin Stevens. Hockey's premier power forward reached the 50-goal plateau for the first time in his career, and his 123 points were the most by an American-born player and any left winger in NHL history. He has become far and away the best left winger in hockey.
Sends a pass to Stevens behind the defense, cuts in, he shoots, scores! Kevin Stevens gives the Penguins a 2-0 lead.
He is an unusual combination. With his great size and strength, he's a warhorse with hands of silk. Kevin Stevens is quiet on the outside, but burns intensity on the inside.
Oh, interference! Pop! Crack!
I think a lot about the game. That's I don't know if that's good or bad. Some people can go out there and start thinking about the game about 6 o'clock when it's a 7:30 game, but I get thinking the night before, and sometimes I don't sleep. There's a lot of times I don't sleep at night. I get thinking about certain plays.
At home, Kevin and his wife Suzanne try to use the time they have together to relax, but it's not easy.
I had no idea the intensity level would be so high. And they spend so much time of their lives are spent at the rink or traveling or practicing or at a game that when they come home, I don't think they can just forget it. And that's hard.
Kevin joined line mates Jagr and Lemieux on the NHL's mid-season All-Star team. It was an all-Pittsburgh starting offensive unit. They were backed up by Paul Coffey and Bryan Trottier. While Kevin Stevens continued to post big numbers, injuries would strike down his teammates. And by mid-February, the Pens were mired in 4th place in the Patrick division, clinging to the final playoff spot. With the brass of a riverboat gambler, General Manager Craig Patrick pulled the trigger on another blockbuster trade. Gone was last year's leading scorer, Mark Recchi, and perennial All-Star Paul Coffey. Arriving were rugged scorer Rick Tocchet, big, steady defenseman Shel Samuelson, and backup goalie Ken Reggett.
We needed to improve our defensive capabilities and our physical presence on the ice. And we gave up some offensive players, very good offensive players, for the ingredient we felt we needed.
Proof of Tocchet's toughness showed itself shortly after his arrival in a game against Chicago. Tocchet's jaw was broken, yet he came back later in the game to score 2 goals and help his team win it. The fiery Tocchet was the shot of adrenaline the Pens needed. A survivor from the back alleys of the NHL, Rick's toughness and scoring jettisoned the Pens in the Patrick Division standings.
You've got him in the net, right down a goal to Tocchet. He shoots, gets the hat trick for Rick Tocchet, and the Penguins lead 5-1.
The trade enabled the Pens to finish the regular season on a 10-3-1 tear and a third-place finish in the Patrick Division. They narrowly escaped facing the #1 team in the NHL, the New York Rangers, in the first round of the playoffs. Their reward was to play the league's second-best team, the vastly improved Washington Capitals. The nation's capital boasted a red-hot hockey team. The Caps dominated the Pens during the regular season, and when Mario was scratched from Game 1 with a severely bruised shoulder, the Pens' dream of repeating as Cup champions grew dim. Washington's smothering defense left Pittsburgh with few scoring opportunities. The Caps took Game 1, and even though a battered Mario returned briefly for Game 2, he could not save the floundering Pens. Pittsburgh was quickly down 2-0. Back in the friendly confines of the Civic Arena, a healing Mario figured in all of Pittsburgh's 4 second-period goals. He set up 3 and scored 1 himself as the Pens' 6-4 win helped them claw back in the series.
Earlier, if we would have lost tonight, it would have been almost impossible to come back and win 4 straight against a good team like the Caps. But that was a key game for us, and we just got to take it 1 game at a time.
Still down 2-1, the Pens were embarrassed at home in the critical 4th game, 7-2. Down 3-1 in the series, the Pens stood on the brink of elimination. With their backs to the wall in Game 5, the gritty Penguins fought back. Larry Murphy's goal tied it at 2. Jaromir Jagr got the game winner.
He comes in on a breakaway. Jagr to the goal. He comes with a shot. Hey! Shoots and scores! He beats Beaupre like a rented mule.
And the Penguins' ice curtain fell on Washington.
Game 5 in Washington, we called a meeting. We came up with, trying to go 1-4 delay and try to contain their defensemen. We knew right away if we could play that type of game and wait for our chances, that we had the better team, we could win.
In the 1-4 delay, 1 man is sent in to delay the puck carrier. All the other Pens line up on the blue line to stop their play from developing. With a new defensive game plan, Dino Ciccarelli, who had 4 goals in the previous game, had no shots on goal. The Caps' offense sputtered in the Pens' 5-2 win. Still down 3-2, now at least there was a pulse.
Empty net, headed that way, he scores! Bob Airy puts it in, and ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building, and the Penguins are going home for game number 6.
Back at home, Mario showed the city of Pittsburgh where this team's killer instinct begins. Down 4-2, Mario's guns began blazing, lifting the Pens out of the clutches of elimination with 2 goals and 3 assists.
Yarmer Yager feed it across here. Lemieux right in front, makes a little move. Hey, puts it in as he beats Beaupre like a rented mule. And the Penguins lead 5-4. And you'd have to be here to believe it. The move that Mario Lemieux just made on Donnie Beaupre.
Tonight, Washington saw his gunfighter eyes. This game winner was a portrait of his brilliance.
Left point, Francis, fire, save, rebound, score! Mario Lemieux puts it in, the Penguins lead 6-4. Oh, book 'em, Dano, the Penguins by 2.
It was a 6-4 win, and with the series tied at 3 games apiece, there was a definite heartbeat. Few had believed there would be a Game 7 in this series. Most had left the Pens for dead after Game 4. With both teams playing brilliant defensively, it would be a matter of one team blinking first.
That 7th game was a game that they never wanted played in that series. They wanted to be resting, getting ready for that next series, and we knew that we had to play 7 games in order to have a chance. So I think the attitudes of both teams were slightly different, and I think that really gave us a very big psychological edge because we had faced elimination the 2 previous nights, and then to face it again didn't seem like much of a challenge, just to go out and play the game as we knew it.
Tom Barrasso was miraculous. Tied at 1, he kept the Pens on an even keel long enough for another capital blink.
They come to Lemieux again, center, but there is Yager's backhander. Hey, shoots and scores! Yarmer Yager buries it on the backhand. The Penguins lead 2-1.
The goal was a crushing blow to the Capitals.
Samuelson steps to the him. Christie's trying to get free. Knocked him down. Christie's gets right back up. Dimitri Christie's now hauled down by Jim Pack.
Ahead 2-1, the Penguins' defense once again lowered their ice curtain.
35 to go, they lose it. Here's Mullen. Trying to shoot the empty net. Hey! Shoots and scores! And ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. The Penguins lead 3-1.
Shockingly, after a Joey Mullen empty netter, the series was over. The performance of Mario Lemieux in this series left hockey historians searching their books for any resemblances from the past. His speed and natural creativity with the puck had left one of hockey's finest defensive units absolutely bewildered. Number 66 was skating on paths no one else could see. He was now by himself on another plane. While the Pens advanced with their draining Game 7 victory, they would now have to face the league's top team. The New York Rangers barely escaped the rugged New Jersey Devils in another emotional 7-game series. Hockey writers had picked this matchup as the premier series of the playoffs. All eyes were focused on the matchup between New York's Messiah, Mark Messier, and the Pens' savior, Mario Lemieux. But the holy war never happened.
Came out. He falls down, 28 center. Here's Loney firing. Hey, shoots and scores!
In Game 1 in Madison Square Garden, the steady soldier Troy Loney started the scoring. High-scoring defenseman Larry Murphy and streaking Ron Francis scored to help beat the Rangers 4-2. Rangers goalie Van Beesbrook had been 4-0 against the Pens during the regular season. At the other end, Tom Barrasso was settling into a groove. He made 33 saves, and the curtain was back.
We wanted to really work their defense more than anything. We felt as though their defense was a big part of their team, like Leach, Patrick. We wanted to be on those players and hit those players a lot and try and wear them down through the course of the 7-game series.
In 60 minutes, the Pens had taken away what the Rangers had struggled for all season: home ice advantage. Only 5 minutes into Game 2, and the Pens leading 1-0. The shot heard round the hockey world was fired. The Rangers' Adam Graves took a vicious swipe at Mario Lemieux. And as the Pens superstar crumbled to the ice, visions of a second Stanley Cup faded slowly to black. It was a sad and devastating sight. One that smacked of ugly intent. The sport's most gifted athlete was gone with a fractured hand. If that weren't enough bad news, a little later, Joey Mullen was carried from the ice after a collision with two Rangers. He was out for the season with an injured knee. In an instant, the Rangers erased the league's regular season scoring leader and the team's heart and soul. They also rallied to win Game 2, 4-2. Back in Pittsburgh for Game 3, Penguin fans reacted.
I think the man should be gone for the playoffs for as long as the Rangers are in it. It's just a crime. It's going to hurt the Penguins. We lost our top gun.
The man who broke Mario Lemieux's hand had been given a 2-minute penalty and unbelievably was on the ice in Pittsburgh for Game 3. It was an incendiary situation. Code red. There was violent retribution in the air. But head coach Scotty Bowman summoned up his years of coaching experience and directed the team not to retaliate. The Pens' frustration mounted as the villain Graves scored, and the Rangers agonizingly won Game 3 in overtime, 6-5. The loss left many Penguin fans wondering if there was any justice left in the world. But with little hope left, a jewel of a performance emerged in Game 4. It was helped by a critical blunder by Ranger coach Roger Nielsen. The Rangers had continued to send out their hitmen, and their brutal penalties opened the door for the Penguins. Down 4-2 and on the ropes late in the third period, Ron Francis put on his best Mario act and brought down the house.
Sweeps it over to Ron Francis, going to the Ranger line. Francis comes in, shoots, scores! He got that one through, Richter, and the Penguins make it 4-3.
Not 2 minutes later, Troy Loney sent the Rangers reeling into overtime. It was Ron Francis curtain call.
Reaching in. So is Francis. Hardy working free, and here's Messier. Can't clear. Steven now shooting. Score! Here's Francis scoring! The Penguins win in overtime! Ronnie Francis has scored the game-winning goal! And ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. Ron Francis has scored in overtime, and the Penguins win 5-4.
Ronnie had a big night. He had a great series against those guys, and I don't think he was looking. The puck came from Murph, and went off Ronnie's stick and right into the corner, and I was standing right at the post there, and couldn't have been any happier when that thing rolled in to beat the Rangers. That's a team we really wanted to beat with the Rangers, and because everybody talked about how they're going to mop up everybody, and you know, we had the chance, and that gave us another life.
It was a glorious victory, one filled with justice. Ron Francis was clearly the Rangers' killer in this series thus far. Along with the emergence of Francis came the solid play of the Muskegon line. 3 guys from the farm system: Callender, Mikhailuk, and Needham. Against all odds, they evened the series against the league's best team. In Game 5, back in the Garden, Ranger coach Nielsen continued to scratch scorers Kerr and Ogrodnik for intimidators Kosar and Domi. With Rick Tocchet just back from a separated shoulder, Kosar took a run at him, hoping to test his shoulder or force a retaliation. But Tocchet kept his cool. Kosar went to the penalty box, and justice showed its beautiful face just seconds later.
Moves it in, feeding it quick on a man there. Tocchet, hey! Shoots and scores! Rick Tocchet gives the Penguins a 1-0 lead.
Now, Jaromir Jagr would take his turn at center stage. The Rangers continued to take foolish penalties. One resulted in an early penalty shot.
He circles back in his own end, and 68 Jagr approaches the puck. He goes to the Ranger line, skates right down the alley, comes in on Van Beesbrook, his wrist shot. He shoots and scores, and it makes it 2-0. Jaromir Jagr. Oh, Michael motorcycle.
Jagr's goal ignited the Pens. His heroics were not done. Late in the third period, with the game tied at 2, Jagr bolted into the Ranger zone.
On the right wing, the Jagr takes the lead pass, moves in, one-on-one against Boogum, got around him, goes to the score! Oh, Jaromir Jagr gives the Penguins a lead, 3-2. I'll be cow kick. He put Boogum out on the tunnel going to New Jersey, and then beat Van Beesbrook like a rented mule. The Penguins lead 3-2.
By 2 boards, I pick out a pass, and I go to one-on-one. I beat a Bookable, I think it was the defense man. I got one move to the goalie, and after I have open net, and I shoot it to the open net. I got lucky.
Jagr took control of the puck and turned Ranger defenseman Bookeboom into a lamppost before beating Van Beesbrook for the winning goal. The score was devastating. 20-year-old Jaromir Jagr had shown them something they do not have. The 4-2 win in front of 16,000 desperate Ranger fans left them dazed. The Pens brought their shocking 3-2 lead back home for Game 6.
It's Game 6 of the Patrick Division Finals tonight, and the Manhattan Maulers, better known as the New York Rangers, ought to be moving over to the Civic Arena right about now. Catch the Pens game tonight on KDKA Radio.
To combat New York's roughhouse tactics, GM Patrick made sure the Pens could now counter with a Rick Tocchet. Once Philadelphia's most beloved bad boy, Tocchet always came up big in the postseason. Tonight would be no different.
Francis moves in, goes cross rink, Bork in on goal. He goes behind the net, centers in front. Tocchet shoots and scores! Rick Tocchet gets the goal. The Penguins lead 1-0. Oh, go ahead, make my day, Rick Tocchet.
It was a very big goal. 52 years of Stanley Cup frustration was weighing the Rangers down. They countered with a goal to keep it close. But midway through the second period, the Pens' hero of Game 5, Jaromir Jagr, sent the Civic Arena into a frenzy. Shortly after Jagr's score, 16,000 Penguin fans were rocked by rookie Sean McEachran.
From the front, it deflects off his skate. McEachran's got it one more time, a backhander. He shoots and scores his first National Hockey League goal. Sean McEachran, and he's smiling like a butcher's dog. McEachran with his first ever NHL goal.
And it was time for the curtain. Fittingly, Tocchet and Francis finished it off with empty netters.
An open net again. Francis trying to take it from him, and Ronnie Francis moves towards an empty net. He shoots and scores.
The New York Rangers had lived by the sword in this series and died by it. Their premier players spent so much time killing penalties, they had little offensive firepower left. Scotty Bowman's brilliant game plan maximized what he had and minimized the Rangers' strengths. He would quietly go on to extend his NHL record of playoff wins and usher in another Stanley Cup semifinal series in Pittsburgh. The Rangers talked about what went wrong.
Well, I think looking back, it was obviously in Game 4. We were up by 2 goals with 5 minutes left in the game. They battled back and ended up winning that game in overtime. It was probably a turning point in the series.
You know, I said before the series, when you play the champions, you have to, you just can't beat them. You have to go in and you have to knock them out. And we felt that in the 4th game, and we had them 4-2 with 10 minutes to go, we let them off the ropes and let them get back up. And I think that came back to haunt us.
Now champions of the league's toughest division, the road to the Stanley Cup clearly was through Pittsburgh.
It's a hockey night in Pittsburgh. Tonight from the Civic Arena, it's the opening game of a best-of-7 series for the Wales Conference title between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Boston Bruins.
Penguin fans did a pretty good job of scouting the Bruins.
I think the Penguins will take them in 4. I think Boston got too many rookies. I don't think Adam Oates or Dave Pullen, as long as we control Ruzicka, we got it, no problem.
But there was a problem. In the second round, the Bruins shocked the heavily favored Montreal Canadiens by sweeping them in 4 straight games. Many hockey writers questioned whether the Penguins had anything left after eliminating the #1 and #2 best teams from the regular season. Mario and now Bob Airey, also injured in the Rangers series, were out indefinitely. Tom Barrasso couldn't figure the Boston sweep of Montreal.
I was wondering how they did it. You looked at their lineup and you said, who do they have that you can compare to our team? They didn't have the talent pool there. They just worked extremely hard.
In Game 1, Boston jumped to an early lead. The unlikely cast of Trottier, Callender, and McEachran scored to keep the game tied at 3 as it slipped into overtime. Jaromir Jagr, who scored the game winner in the last 3 games, would have to again come up big in a furious overtime period.
Get on to the Penguins' right, but Shell Samuelson comes up with it. Samuelson's pass off Sweeney, but it comes to Jagr down the right wing. Moving to the Bruins in. Inside, go to the slot area. Has a chance. Shoots. Scores! The Penguins win in overtime. As Jaromir Jagr shot it, it might have been deflected in, but the Penguins Penguins have won 4-3.
For Penn's fans who've seen his brilliance, he is a junior Mario. In Game 2, the battered Pens got an enormous shot of sunshine as their leader, Captain Mario Lemieux, surprised everyone by appearing with a mending fractured hand. Despite the heavy bandages, he took control of the game.
Lemieux has it again for the Penguins. Comes in, put it in front. Yager can't get it. Stevens will try. Now to Lemieux. Hey! Shoots and scores! Mario Lemieux!
He finished the evening with 2 goals and an assist in a 5-2 win. The Pens were beginning to step into their playoff rhythm. With Mario, they now appeared to dominate with a 2-0 lead. Most of the Pens grew up in the hinterlands of northern Canada. They learned to play the game on frozen ponds. For Kevin Stevens and several other Penguins, the city rinks of Boston were their field of dreams. In Game 3, Kevin Stevens would play in front of his family and friends in a rink where he played high school and college hockey, the Boston Garden.
Here he comes with Stevens, ramming back into the Bruins end. Lemieux's around one man. Drop past the Yager in front. Now score! Kevin Stevens. Francis got the puck though, and it goes to Tocchet. Back behind the net to Ronnie Francis. Francis in front, shot by Stevens. He shoots and scores! And sent ahead on the right wing to Tocchet. Out of Lemieux, bursting back into the Bruins, and he gets more. Put him in front of Stevens, looking for the hat trick. He shoots and scores! He gets the HT, and the Penguins lead 3-0. Now goal, Arnold Slick from Turtle Creek. Lemieux to Stevens, and he's got the HT with 4:57 left in the first period.
He exploded with a natural hat trick in the first period, and he wasn't finished.
Look, he goes to Lemieux. Will he shoot it? No. It was Stevens. He shoots and scores! Kevin Stevens buries it, and the Penguins lead 5-1.
He buried his 4th goal to seal a 5-1 mauling of the Bruins.
I think the guy upstairs took care of me that night. I was coming home, and all my friends were there and family, and everybody's excited for a great game.
Game 4 was just like Game 3, right down to the particulars, only there were different heroes. Yager scored another mind-boggling goal, but the night's main attraction was Mario Lemieux, leaving the game's best defensive player in his vapor trail.
Lemieux steals, and he's up against Raymond Bourque and Adam Oates. Coming to the Bruins, they got around both men, cutting for the net, he's still on goal. Hey! Shoots and scores! What a goal by Mario Lemieux! Out! Call Arnold Slick from Turtle Creek. What a goal by Lemieux!
And the Penguin bench is giving him a standing ovation right now. They didn't have sticks in their hands, they'd all be clapping. They love that. They're standing up on the bench. Lemieux went right after Bourque, who had to turn around to get up speed, and Lemieux knew that, so he stayed right with him, just dragged the puck right between his legs and walked in, deked a couple times on Andy Moe, got right in tight on him, and went right upstairs. He shoveled that puck up underneath the crossbar.
Just like Game 3, it was a 5-1 blowout and the Wales Conference Championship.
Penguins have won the Wales Conference title for the 2nd consecutive year.
Watch what happens when that puck gets dropped. You know what? Young and Tommy Prince, Stevens, Mario Lemieux, and the rest of the Penguins are going to do. Let's go, yeah! It's a great day. It's a great day for hockey. For hockey. It's hockey night. It's a hockey night in Pittsburgh, PA. It's a great day. It's a great day for hockey. For hockey. It's hockey night. It's a hockey night.
It was the defending Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins, winners of 7 straight, meeting the sizzling Chicago Blackhawks, winners of their last 11. Millions watched via satellite the Stanley Cup Finals, For Blackhawk fans, this was their year.
Sweep. Chicago in 4.
Oh, classic matchup. You're going ugly against pretty. Pittsburgh's going to get beat up. They're going to go home scratched up tonight.
The Blackhawks' full-court press defense was so impressive, they swept favorite Detroit and Edmonton. With speed and tenacious checking, they suffocated offenses. Game 1 became a nightmare for Pittsburgh. Chicago was smothering the play before it could develop. If that picture wasn't bleak enough, Chicago goalie Belfour looked unbeatable. The Pens gave up the puck, and Chicago cashed in. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the first period. That seemed like an ominous sign of things to come. But late in the first period, Phil Bourque had seen enough.
The center, and he can't do it. It came off the leg. Bourque of the Pens has it. Comes out in front. He shoots and scores! Phil Bourque on the power play goal, and the Penguins make it 3-1.
More pressure and another turnover resulted in another Chicago score to make it 4-1. And for many fans, a funny thing happened on the way to the refrigerator.
Corner to Sean McEachran. Penalty is over. Stan shoots, scores! Tocchet might have deflected it in, but the Penguins make it 4-2.
Tocchet did deflect it in, and there was more.
Into the Chicago zone. Pulls up and lost the puck. Now we'll get it back. Lemieux has it. Comes down deep. Shooter to Belfour. Goes in! Mario Lemieux uses Belfour like a ping pong ball. He shot it. He carried off of it. And the Penguins make it 4-3. Oh, no, Eddie Spaghetti.
Trapped with no one to pass to, Mario the Magician faked a look in the crease and banked a shot off Belfour's leg into the net. For those who could see the genius of the play, it is another number 66 goal that will remain in the mind forever. Belfour was beside himself. The strangling Blackhawk attack protected their 4-3 lead throughout most of the third period. Time was running out on the Pens. Tom Barrasso was called upon to make several spectacular saves just to keep the Pens in the hunt. With less than 5 minutes remaining, it happened.
Yager has the puck. Trying to work around Brett Sutter, does. Comes in around one other man. Comes in the slot, turns with a backhander. Hey! Shoots and scores! Jaromir Jagr ties it for the Penguins. Oh, buck 'em, Dano. A great individual play by 68. The Penguins have tied it at 4.
With absolutely no rehearsal, Mr. Clutch rode his instincts to glory. The Civic Arena was crazy, and when the Pens lined up for a face-off on a power play with 17 seconds remaining, the unbelievable continued.
They'll drop the puck. It's free. Out right side, Murphy shooting. Save made, rebound on Lemieux. Hey! Shoots and scores! Mario Lemieux and the Penguins lead 5-4, and you'd have to be here to believe it. Mario Lemieux has given the Penguins the lead.
The Civic Arena roof must have opened, and the gods smiled. It was as divine an ending as any Hollywood movie. Game 1 will surely go down as one of the greatest comeback victories in the history of the game. Mario described his gamble on the winning play.
Actually, I gamble maybe a little too much on that one. If the puck gets by Larry Murphy, they have a 2-on-0 and they have a good chance to score. But I tried to read the play as well as I could. Ronnie won the draw, went back to Murphy. Murph made a great play to keep it in, got the shot on net, and I just went by Steve Larman the puck was there and I was able to put it in.
Even the game's greatest player couldn't believe 20-year-old Jaromir Jagr's game-tying goal.
Oh, that was probably the greatest goal I ever seen. You know, I've scored a lot of big goals, but you know, one down and picked up the puck, beat 3-4 guys, and he's got such great balance. Can beat a guy one-on-one at will, and he's very strong with his upper body, and that was a great goal.
Overlooked in much of the excitement of the Pens' playoff wins was the play of quiet defenseman Larry Murphy. After another outstanding regular season with 21 goals and 56 assists, his performance thus far in the playoffs was remarkable. Against the Rangers, he scored a goal in each of the first 3 games. In the pivotal 4th game, in overtime, he stole the puck and had his shot deflected home for the game winner. In the dramatic opener against Chicago, Mario scored on the rebound of Murphy's shot. Larry Murphy is there when it counts.
Stanley Cup programs here, program.
Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals was another classic Penguin defensive gem. Veteran defensive forward Bob Airey was crunching Blackhawks and got a chance to help the offense after a sensational setup by Jimmy Pack.
The Hawks zone and goes, and Bob Airey's after a shorthanded cutting for the net. Bob Airey's shot. Hey! Shouts and scores! A baseball for like a rented mule, and the Penguins lead 1-0. Bob Airey.
Chicago tied it, but not for long.
It's too hard. Talker comes in to take it again, and Lemieux in front. Hey! Shouts and scores! Mario Lemieux gives the Penguins a lead.
Same guys, same result. 3 minutes later.
Going down to Lemieux, he shoots and scores again! Mario Lemieux gives the Penguins a 3-1 lead.
The curtain signaled a 3-1 win, and the Blackhawks were sent back to Chicago, down 2 games to none. Chicago, gateway to the West. It is widely regarded as one of the great sports towns in America. It is one of the original 6 NHL cities, rich with a rabid hockey history. It had been 20 years since the Blackhawks had come this close to the Stanley Cup. Hawk fans were stunned by the 2 losses to Pittsburgh, but the city and its famed Chicago Stadium laid in waiting for the Pens in Game 3. Looking very much like gentlemen, the Pens arrived in their business attire. Chicago fans were dressed for a party.
No, sir. No. Chicago's going to win, man. We came too far.
Go back to Pittsburgh and squeak one out, and it comes back for Game 6. Look out, Pittsburgh, you're going to be in trouble.
Hawks have got the Penguins right where they want them. They're just lulling them into a sense of complacency. The comeback starts tonight. That's all I got to say. You'll read about it in the papers in the morning.
It was time for the brilliance of Tom Barrasso to move out of the shadow of greatness into the limelight. His performance this evening was a picture of perfection.
They get into the right side. Chelios moves in a slip shot. Stopped by Barrasso on the rebound. Lemieux right to Steve Smith. Boom it right on Barrasso's. Period. Ronick around the net. Comes around for the backhand once. Stopped by Barrasso. Steve Smith gets it in front of Goulet with a backhander. That stopped him. There's Graham. Graham in front now. A quick shot right on that. For reserve. Ronick though to the Penguins in. Cut around Tucker. Moves in and shoots it. And Barrasso stopped him. Goes over. Stubbing over to Robbie Brown. A slap shot. Stopped by Barrasso. Rebound. He stops that one on Noonan too. Noonan. Falling down was Roberts. Noonan goes for the net. His shot. Right point. Look out. Chelios moves around. Stevens put in the slot. Goulet. There's shot. A good save by Barrasso.
The significance of the Kevin Stevens lone score was overshadowed by Barrasso's masterpiece. With this performance, he stands alongside Eddie Giacomin, Bernie Perron, Ken Dryden, and other Hall of Famers. Finally, with time running out, Chicago's Chelios lost his composure and the Blackhawks lost the game. It was a signature Barrasso 1-0 shutout.
The Penguins have taken a 3-0 lead in this best-of-7 series for the Stanley Cup.
Chicago Stadium. She's a grand old lady. She is a shrine echoing 75 years of hockey history. Dressed in her glorious Black Hawk colors, she stands as a proud hostess for the Pittsburgh Penguins and their heroic fight for the coveted crown jewel of the NHL, the Stanley Cup. Little else had worked for Chicago in this series, so Mike Keenan chose a shootout with Pittsburgh. With the reins let go, Jágr scored, and now Kevin Stevens drove to the net. After the Stevens goal, Keenan had seen enough of Belfour. Four minutes later, Murphy and Lemieux teamed up.
Pulls back, good drop pass to Murphy, a slap shot, never got to the net, now it's free in front, score, Lemieux, he gives the Penguins a lead. Off passing and Lemieux drew.
With the game wide open, Tom Barrasso was left to perform acrobatics. With guns still smoking, both teams entered period 2, tied at 3, and it was Tockett's turn.
Here's Tockett right there, he shoots and a score, the Penguins take the lead.
Hundreds of thousands back in Pittsburgh watched from their homes and local taverns as Tockett fed Murphy.
Snap a shot. Here's Murphy again. Right wing circle. Fires it and he scores! The Penguins take the lead. 5-4. Larry Murphy, I believe, will get the goal. Here's Francis back now with McEachran 2-on-1. Francis comes in, shoots and scores! Ronnie Francis beats goaltender Hasek like a rented mule.
3 minutes later, when Ron Francis blew one by Hasek, the Pens showed the hockey world what all of Pittsburgh already knew. The Penguins will beat you every which way. Ahead 6-4, the Pens switched gears. Jágr danced a little and gave a two-step to Mario. Tom Barrasso and the Curtain made one last appearance, and the countdown began.
Right in front, 5 seconds to go. Loose around to the far corner, 2 seconds. The Penguins are going to win the Stanley Cup, I believe. Stelio shoots it blocked. The Penguins have won the Stanley Cup. Oh, Lord Stanley, get me the brandy.
Mike Keenan, once an assistant for Scotty Bowman, hugged the man who had taught him so much. A team torn by adversity climbed together to the top of the mountain. And somewhere in heaven, it was a great day for hockey. Mario again won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoffs MVP. His 34 playoff points led all scorers, even though he missed 6 games due to injury. The 1991-92 Pittsburgh Penguins lost their beloved head coach, saw their team sold, watched 2 of their All-Stars traded, and played for long stretches without their injured superstar. Through it all, they endured.
These guys are great. I told them I loved them before, and I love each and every one of them. They're unbelievable. A ton of character, and it showed again this series. What an effort by all the guys.
When you get guys like Mario Lemieux go down, and you see these other guys like Ronnie Francis and Jágr and Sean McEachran pick it up and win that Rangers series for us. Tommy Barrasso was great throughout the whole playoffs, and combined, there we are today.
The emotional victory in Cup championships spread like wildfire throughout Western Pennsylvania. On this night, Pittsburgh became America's #1 party town. The celebration and love for this team spilled into Three Rivers Stadium, where their fans let loose with a shower of affection. addressed the crowd.
To the city of Pittsburgh and you fans, this is an unbelievable day for us. We appreciate it so much, and believe me, as ownership, we intend to see to it we do this year after year after year. Thank you very much.
Next came the tireless general manager, who again had masterminded a championship team.
This team has been able to overcome an awful lot in the last 2 years. They faced a lot of challenges, and they've overcome every one of them. They have great character, great determination, and tremendous talent. It's my distinct pleasure now to introduce a man who's the winningest coach in the regular season and playoffs in National Hockey League history, Mr. Scott Bowman.
The coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins will always be Bob Johnson. And thanks to Bob Johnson's vision, all of this today is possible.
And finally, a few comments about the fans.
I'd just like to thank the Pittsburgh Penguins, the fans, everybody for making the last 5 months the greatest of my life. Thanks very much.
I just want to say I'm so happy I can play in Pittsburgh because we have a good team and we are the greatest fans. Thank you.
For Brian Trottier, it was time for the traditional Cup Promenade. The 91-92 Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins will be remembered for their heart and soul. They are a wondrous tapestry, woven so skillfully by GM Craig Patrick. The worldwide hockey spotlight shines on the city of Pittsburgh again. This magical team has helped this city and her people through tough times. They have been an emotional lift, an example of how much more each of us can achieve. As the word fluke slips into the darkness, from a new dawn comes the sound of dynasty.